This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. We're so glad you could join us today. In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I talk with Ryan Tichich of Bayer about their new smart corn system. We also have a check of the weather, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of another trading day after this long Labor Day weekend, and for a bit of analysis, we go to Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, what did we see in the grains today?
Well, we saw divergence in the grains today. We saw soybeans under pressure, and then wheat and corn about the same, higher. Both of those. Well, that wasn't really because of export inspections, because export inspections really were not very good. We had corn at 16.1 million bushels, and that's 11 million bushels below what it was the previous week. Beans were just slightly higher at 16.4. That was 200,000 bushels higher than the previous week, and wheat was 17.6 million bushels. That was down 5.6 million bushels. So that was not a real supportive factor to the market, but more of the supportive factor probably just came in because we have some declining crop conditions we've seen in corn. And then on the other side, we're looking at a potentially larger soybean crop. So we're seeing a divergence in prices there and putting some pressure on the soybean complex relative to the corn complex. Now we're starting to hear a few yields coming through, but they're not really very supportive to higher yields. They're looking at lower yields than what previous year, what some were expecting. So we might continue to see some decent support under the corn market. Of course, we do have to have demand follow along with that, but we might be seeing some decent support under the corn relative to beans. And that's going to be an interesting scenario because generally we see a relationship or a ratio of around 2.4 or so between beans and corn price-wise. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year if we can maintain that relation or ratio, or if we're going to see something that we haven't seen before. And that wouldn't be surprising because we've seen a lot of that over the last 2 years as things that were very much abnormal. Now, the high U.S. dollar and the potential for a record soybean crop is going to also keep pressure on that soybean complex. Now, Ukraine, during the month of August, exported 5 million tons of food products through either their ports, through rail, or through roads. So they did move quite a bit out of the country, a lot more to go yet. And there's a number of, quite a high volume of ships that I have applied to come in to get more of the food product or the grains out of Ukraine. Now, Argentina, interestingly, has created a new a new exchange rate for soybeans because their farmers have been holding tight on the beans, and they want to do that in hope to increase farmer selling, shore up their central bank reserves, and avoid a currency devaluation. So they've created a new exchange rate, which is more beneficial to soybean farmers, and that's kind of an interesting development there as well. Now, again, looking ahead, and this is ahead farther to the WASDE report next Monday, NASS released today that they will review their acreage information from surveys, from satellite data, and FSA numbers, and they're going to see if they really need to make many changes coming in on the upcoming report. And if there is anything significant, they will release that during the WASDE report. The other thing that is kind of a concern, or a lot of a concern, is nitrogen prices are going higher again. and that's at coming near to the point when some fall applications will be done. Of course, natural gas prices have exploded higher. There's been some issues in Europe with natural gas production. So, just like fuel prices, a lot of times when we harvest, the price of fertilizer or the nitrogen is going to go a lot higher too. So it's just going to create another potential like we saw last year.
All right, Robin, and what are we seeing on the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex?
The livestock, we did see some strength today in the cattle market. Now, we did see the downtrend in live cattle broken on Friday. We've been moving in a downtrend for a while, and that changed on Friday. Now, there looks like there's some follow through today, and it's not because of higher cash, because cash was $2 to $5 lower last week, but it's the anticipation of higher cash plus a little bit of buying that comes in because we did break that downtrend. Now, traders are anticipating maybe some higher cash because they're thinking that because of the lackluster buying that the packers had last week, that they are going to have to come to this market a little more aggressively this week or next week, hopefully this week. So far, only the South has posted some offers at $144, and nothing's happened in the North so far. So we don't really have a good handle on it, but we have a holiday shortened week. So tomorrow we should start seeing a little bit more activity surfacing. Cash trading, like I said, hasn't taken place yet this week. Box beef prices so far are higher today on the midday report. Choice was up 98 cents, select up $3.23. So that's looking a little positive. Now on the hog side, on Friday, we closed the chart gap in October hogs that's been sitting there for a while. It's been a formidable technical level that we've and been a little bit leery of because the market usually closes those gaps, and it did it on Friday and rebounded after the initial weakness today again. We did open up about where we closed, but we went down lower and rebounded off of that. It'll be interesting to see what the substantial drop in cash last week is going to do, because packer margins have fallen below $10, almost down to that $5 levels. And that's why they've been bidding very low as far as cash was concerned last week. They want to improve those packer margins. Now, the last time we saw something almost identical to this was in June of last year. After that happened and they were able to rectify, the lower margins, we did see a substantial rally last year. Now it'll be interesting to see if we follow that same pattern this year, if the low prices were enough in order to start improving their margins. Now today, because of packer submission issues, we couldn't get any cash prices for the midday report. But cutouts were a little bit higher. We saw cutouts at the midday report up $3.78. So hopefully that will hold in positive territory, and we might be able to see some regaining or some retracement in what we've been seeing over the last week or two.
All right, Robin, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and our viewers who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Well, they can call me directly at 877-256-3253, or they can go to agmarket.net. We got phone number on there, contact information. Feel free to get in touch with us.
All right, Robin, it's been great talking with you today, and we look forward to visiting with you again soon.
All right, thank you. It's always a pleasure being on.
That again was Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. September corn is up 11 3/4 at 680 3/4. December corn up 10 1/4 at 676 even. September soybeans down 20 1/2 at 1490 even. November soybeans down 21 3/4 at 1398 3/4. October soybean meal down 1340 at 410.60. Soybean oil down 304 at 64.90. Chicago wheat up 7 even at 800 even. Minneapolis spring wheat down 1 1/4 at $8.71 even. Kansas City hard red wheat up 7 1/2 at $8.79 even. And September oats up 4 even at $3.98 1/4. On the Merc, October live cattle up 50 at $145.05. Feeder cattle up 30 at $184.17. October lean hogs up 107 at $91.10. Pork cutout up 112 at $101.87. And Class 3 milk down 8 cents at $19.67. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we're going to talk about Bayer's Smart Corn system. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, we all know that when we think of corn, it's big, tall corn gets the best crop. But what if shorter corn can provide a better yield? Well, I talked with Ryan Tichich of Bayer about their Smart Corn system that focuses on shorter corn that can avoid some storm damage. We're here at day one of the 2022 Farm Progress Show here in Boone, Iowa, and we're first here with Bayer's Ryan Tichich talking about the Smart Corn system. Now, Smart Corn, just from the basic explanation I've gotten so far, it sounds pretty interesting, short corn system. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're very excited to be talking about the Smart Corn system, and we're very excited to be offering that to growers here in the next few years. At the heart of the Smart Corn system would be short-statured hybrids. So these are hybrids that would be roughly a third shorter than their conventional tall corn counterparts. And that brings about a number of different agronomic benefits, the first of which we think about is protection. Right? So when you think about protection from green snap, from lodging, these are issues that growers face each season and can be devastating in terms of yield loss and can really make harvest a mess. So we've seen time and again that our product has really performed well from a protection standpoint, and that's a very important part of the system.
Right, so how would producers be able to work this into their planting program?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different things. So we're going to be thinking about this as a total system offering. And so along with the short-statured corn hybrids, we would also like to be able to provide a tailored solution or a tailored recommendation on how to prescriptively use the product. So when you think about what's the ideal density to plant at, what are the best fields to target, we want that advice to come along with the short-statured corn hybrids to be a comprehensive system that a grower can integrate into their operation.
Right, and of course you mentioned that the shorter corn helps protect against green snap, which is kind of a self-explanatory. If it's shorter, it's at less risk for that. But how else does the height of the corn really impact the benefits that it can see and kind of avoid some of that damage?
Yeah, great question. You're absolutely right. The shorter stature does bring that center of gravity down, which helps make it more resilient to wind. We just see stronger stalk strength as well, which just also helps from a lodging perspective. Another piece I'd really like to highlight is that shorter stature does allow for in-season access. So when you think about things that are top of mind for a grower today, disease management, for example, right? Or being able to think about being more prescriptive with nutrients, right? That shorter height allows equipment to get into the field throughout the entire course of the season. So if you're talking an R1, R2 fungicide application, you can get in there with standard ground equipment. A traditional sprayer can go and take care of that for a grower, where in the past you may have to rely on things like an airplane or special high clearance spraying type equipment. So really that's another key benefit for the growers, being able to more prescriptively manage nutrients, disease, and that's going to be a win for the grower. It'll be a win from a sustainability standpoint as well.
Right, and how does this impact maybe the growing season a little bit? Are we looking at a similar time frame for all of that, or maybe a little quicker? How does that work?
Yeah, so basically the short corn and tall corn early on will look identical, okay, through say about V4, V5, V6. They're going to be very comparable in height. It's at V6 where you start to really see the differentiation between short and tall. So, when we think about things, even like back kind of to that access piece for a minute, if you're bringing a toolbar into the field, say you're side dressing nitrogen, that type of thing, we estimate that you've got 7 to 10 days of additional time in which you can bring that equipment into the field to make that application. So that, again, is a real win for growers. But yeah, throughout the course of the year then, maturity-wise would be very, very similar. So when you'd expect to harvest would be similar. When you'd expect flowering to occur would be very, very similar. It's just at that early V6 stage where the height differentiation really starts to become evident.
Right, and is there any difference in the number of ears on the plant? I mean, are we looking at comparable there, or is kind of the yield benefit make up for that?
Yeah, no, basically the plant itself will be exactly like tall corn, except below the ear you see nodes that are kind of stacked together. So that's how you get that shorter height. But aside from that, when you think about like the genetic variability you see in corn, right? Different leaf shapes, different leaf architecture, number of ears, the way that the plant actually presents itself is going to be identical to tall corn. So, one thing that the system does allow you to do is to push plant density a little bit higher. You were talking about number of years. That gets me thinking about yield. And that's kind of that third major agronomic benefit that I see, yield, which, today, if you push density, often growers are very successful in doing that, but sometimes that creates more lodging risk, right? And it creates some problems when you have the windstorms and things like that. So this is a product that you're going to be able to push densities even a little harder if you'd like to, and obtain potentially even more yield from doing that, which is another real benefit of the system. I want to be clear, you don't have to push density to get yields. In other words, if you use all of your same production practices that you use today, we would expect comparable yields between short and tall, right? But it's just we create some upside for situations where like higher densities will add more yield. You can be confident that you're going to be able to bring that yield home at the end of the year.
So what was the process of coming about this system? Was this kind of a selective breeding program, or what was the work that went behind that?
Yeah, that's a great question. This first trait that we're launching here in 2024 is a breeding trait. So it is developed by our breeding program actually in central Iowa here. And so, a lot of the hybrids that are going to launch initially will kind of range between just say RM 102 up to say 112, 113. But yeah, no, this first round of a trait is a breeding approach, and we will be coming later in the decade with a biotech approach, which is a little bit of a different strategy there, but it will allow us to broaden out our germplasm quite a bit and create a product that will deliver even more value.
All right, so when and how can producers kind of look forward to working this into their operation?
Yep, absolutely. There's a few different things. A number of our agronomists this year have demonstrations out, so definitely keep your eyes open for field days and for opportunities to get out and see some of these plots firsthand. Next year, we'll be moving into our groundbreakers phase. Okay, that's a limited launch of the product. We expect to be on maybe 60,000 acres in that range across, again, those RMs that I mentioned. So that is kind of the first opportunity for a grower to get their hands on it and plant a whole field, for example. And then in 2024, we will move into more of a full-scale launch where it should be a much more widely available for growers.
All right, Ryan. Well, is there anything else about this system that our listeners and our viewers should know about before we take off today?
No, I think it's an exciting evolution kind of in corn production. I think, again, the door is really going to open up for how we manage corn more prescriptively. And just, again, we're really excited about how we're going to bring the digital models and the recommendations on how to best use the product and ultimately deliver grower success. So we're excited about that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking with us today, Ryan, and good luck with this program in the future.
You bet. Thank you very much for the time.
That again was Bayer's Ryan Tichich. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, we are still having some beautiful summer weather as we're kind of transitioning into the fall season with some cooler temperatures, and it's actually getting pretty cool overnight now and then into the early morning hours. Now, we could see a few scattered showers here real quick, but it's probably going to be dry for a while now. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, we've got some beautiful weather ahead of us. Today will be mostly sunny with some clouds across the state, highs ranging from the upper 70s to upper 80s. Tonight will be mostly clear with some fog in the east especially. Lows overnight should range from about 60 to 65. Tomorrow we'll have some lingering patchy fog, which will give way to sunny skies and a beautiful day. Highs range from the low to upper 80s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map, as you can see for tomorrow, Cherokee will be mostly sunny with a high of 87, Shenandoah sunny and 87, Des Moines sunny and 87 as well, Waterloo sunny and 84, Albia sunny and 87, and Clinton will be clear and sunny with a high of 80 degrees. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can find all of our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Dustin Huffman and Mark Magnuson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.